Thank you, everybody. So when I was thinking about what I would talk about today, I feel like I had a little nudge from the universe. Because, and I'm sorry, today I'm going to be spoiling a book and a movie, so I'm sorry. But I was reading a book, and I was reading a book for the book club at a novel escape downtown, and it's called The Measure. Actually, I just finished the book. And in the book, everybody in the world receives a little box at their doorstep. And in the box is a string. And the string is the measure of your life. It takes humanity a little while to realize what the string represents. But they actually figure out that that string tells you exactly how long you will live. So people are able to determine that they're going to die, specifically when, not the date, like Tuesday, but the month and the year. And so that's a huge changer for everybody. It causes a lot of ripples. And in the book, it follows several people in the US. And some of the people are short stringers, people who, you know, don't have much life left to live. And that being a short stringer causes a lot of problems, or not problems, things to change. Like this one man in the book, he's engaged, and his fiance breaks up with him because didn't want to have to deal with having a person who was going to die soon. And they have a support group for the short stringers, and so those people become friends and family. And one of the other things that people do, the short stringers do, is this woman, she knows she's single, and her brother has a partner, and so she becomes their surrogate because she wants to experience pregnancy, and she also wants to leave a legacy. So her child will be their child, and she's a short stringer. And a lot of other things happen, and it made me think about how today we choose to live our lives in a way that you think you have so much time, right? You think you have all this time, and you have all this time to do things. And sometimes we put off things that we're planning on doing because we think other things are more important. Sometimes maybe to us, family is all important, but yet we stay at work super late, or we skip, family events, or we think it's important to make our mark on the world or climb that corporate ladder. And and it reminds me of all those stories you hear about people on their deathbed saying, I wish I had left work earlier. I wish I hadn't worked so hard. Or I wish I'd spent more time with my kids, or whatever it is. And so it was an interesting book, and it made you think, right? And then also this week, so this is the movie part, my daughter called us up and was like, oh my gosh, I watched this movie that we watched. So Aiden and I took her to this movie called Arrival, back when it came out in the movie theaters. And then she had to watch it for film class. And when she watched it in the movie theater, she was young, so she didn't really get it. And she watched it for film class, and she was like, oh my gosh, it was so good. And this movie is about a woman who is an interpreter. She's a linguist, and she gets called to interpret when the UFOs land. So there's 12 UFOs that land on Earth, and she is in the US, and she gets called to interpret. So because they're trying to communicate something to us. But the premise here is the aliens, they're trying to talk to us, but the aliens don't see time as linear. In their world, time is not linear. So they came to Earth because something in the future, they're going to need help from us. And so they need to teach us how to communicate with them. So she becomes so immersed in their language that time no longer is linear for her. So you see glimpse in the movie of her future, which is her future with her daughter. And her daughter has a terminal illness. She's born with that, and she dies. And the woman makes the choice to have that daughter, knowing that she will die. And I think there's super parallels between the book and the movie. Louise, the main character, she chooses to experience this. Their language, the aliens' language, they experience past, present, and future all at the same time. They communicate to her in writing, and their writing is a circle. So there's no end and there's no beginning. And when I was writing this speech, Louise's daughter's name is Hannah. She names her daughter Hannah, which is the same forwards and backwards, which I didn't get until I I thought that was pretty amazing. So these two things, this movie and this book really intercepted for me. Um, and the other part, the movie, Louise, the other main character in the movie, his name is Ian, and you see them fall in love, Louise and Ian, and he's working with trying to figure out how to communicate with the aliens. And but in you see glimpses of it, you never see him with the child because he leaves Louise because he doesn't agree with her choosing to bring this child into life and knowing that she's going to die. Um, and so it just is the idea of choices and how you live our life just was so prevalent in this movie. And I looked up some reviews because I wanted to understand it more because it's a hard thing to wrap your mind around, the idea of not having linear time. And there was a review where the reviewer named Alyssa, she said very eloquently, although she, Louise, is aware of the pain and heartache to come, there is beauty and boundless amounts of love that she would rather experience than miss out on completely. And as humans, our emotions make a heavy impact on our decisions. And knowing that pain comes with a choice is a hard thing to grapple with. And could we sacrifice our happiness because of unimaginable and unavoidable pain that comes with this choice? And I think that idea is a great example of the human experience, right? We are all here. It's a reality of human life to have pain, right? And also to have happiness. And we all have to make choices in our life. And sometimes we make choices without knowing the ramifications, whether it's going to bring us joy or bring us pain. And sometimes we don't make choices because we're afraid of potential pain, correct? But what if you didn't know pain or heartache? What if you only knew joy? Like, I feel like you can't, you can't make all your choices only trying to know joy, because if you didn't know heartache, would you even know what joy was? It's kind of like having a favorite food. Like, I love mac and cheese, but if I ate mac and cheese every single day, after like a month, I'm going to be like, it's not my favorite food anymore. Right. So if you continually were in that space of joy, would it even feel the same? I don't think so. I think you have to feel both sides of the coin. This human experience we're having is temporary in lots of ways, in more way, in just more ways than just life is temporary. Everything is temporary. Every emotion we feel, every experience we have is also temporary. There's a quote from Wayne Dyer that says, "You are an infinite spiritual being having a temporary human experience." And I always got that. I always understood that, yes, our temporary human experience, and that we are we are something more than this body. So what is the lesson here between this book and this movie? I think it's to treat every day and every hour as the only one that you have, because essentially it is. Because if you think about it, you can spend your day worrying about your past, reliving your past, thinking about how cool you were in high school or how uncool you were, or if you could go back and do whatever it was differently. But if you spend your time doing that, you're missing out on what's happening right now. And also, you could spend your time worrying about the future and thinking, oh, I want to have this big house or this big car. I'm going to get this promotion, or I'm going to imagine what I can do when I retire. But the thing is, that's just imagining. That is not promised. Again, Wayne Dyer, go for it now, he says. The future is not promised. If you spend your time planning and thinking about it, you're missing out on what's happening right here and right now. And even if you knew the amount of time you had in the future, long or short, would that change how you choose to live your life now? Your experiences are not promised. Your life and what you're doing right now is is the reality, right? The idea that we're all spiritual beings having a human experience resonates to me very much. And our true nature, our soul, our Atman, who we are without this body or outside this body, is eternal and infinite. And Ram Dass says we are all just walking each other home. And for the longest time, I never really got that. I'm like, well, we're all just walking each other home. I don't get that. Like, but what he's really saying is our home is not actually here on earth. Our home is somewhere else outside our bodies. And so we are all having this experience together. We are all living this human life together in these bodies, and we're all connected, and we're all walking each other home. We're all moving towards that time when we can be outside this human experience in our infinite experience. And so our journey together is a journey, and it's no matter what religion we are in or whatever our beliefs are, we're all in this experience. So let us lean all a little more into living in the now moment. And instead of, you can plan for the future, you can learn about the past, but instead of dwelling in either of those places, dwell here in the present. I'm just going to end with, according to Eckhart Tolle, the purpose of life is to be here fully, to align yourself with this moment internally, and to realize that wherever you are is where you're supposed to be. And whatever you are doing in the now is what you are supposed to do. Realize deeply that the present moment is really all we ever have. Thanks.